Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Pratik Singh Classes. So in our today's video tutorial, we are going to study about Standard 12th Economics Chapter 1, that is Introduction to Macroeconomics. Here in this chapter, first we will study a lot of definitions and examples, and then we will go to the textbook. Okay, fine. So I hope you will enjoy this tutorial video. If you are new to my channel, please subscribe my channel Pratik Singh Classes, like and share my channel among your friends so that everybody should get benefits from my knowledge. And also please hit the bell icon so that whenever I will upload a new video, you will get its instant notification. Fine. So without wasting our time, coming to our theory part. So let us start our introductory class. Okay, the topic is Introduction to Macroeconomics. In class 11th, you might have studied about the definition of economics. Okay, here we will study about what are the types of economics and how they are classified and what are the differences between each other. Okay, so before going to the topics of this lesson, let me introduce the definitions with examples of some important topics related to this chapter. Fine. So coming to the PDF, let us start from the definition of economics. Economics is a social science concerned with the production, distribution and consumption of goods and services. It studies how individual businesses, governments and nations make choices on allocating resources to satisfy their wants and needs, trying to determine how these groups should organize and coordinate efforts to achieve maximum output. That means if suppose we are doing some production, then how it will be distributed, okay, what are the needs of any good and in how much it should be produced so that it should be distributed and consumed at its optimal level. That means it should not be wasted in any way and we should get each and every single benefit of each and every single piece around us, okay, of the production. Fine. It is concerned not only to the businesses but also to individuals and governments and to whole nation around this world. Economics is especially concerned with efficiency in production and exchange and uses models and assumptions to understand how to create incentives and policies that will maximize efficiency. That means whenever anything is being produced, whatever it is, how the consumers are getting it. That means how from the production point it is exchanged or transit to the market and to the customers, to the individuals, and what are the things from production to the purchase to the fulfillment point, okay, are being made, and then to understand how to create incentives and policies, okay, so that we should maximize efficiency. Maximize efficiency means to decrease the loss and increase gain. Fine. Then there are two types of economics, that is microeconomics and macroeconomics. See here, there is just a small difference in the spelling I and A. Fine. So microeconomics focuses on the behavior of individual consumer and producers, and macroeconomics examine overall economics on a regional, national or international scale. So let me give you a best suitable example and very easy example of the difference in macroeconomics and microeconomics. Say, suppose your father is working somewhere, either in government or private sector or in doing same self business or farmer, whatever it is, okay, he is earning some money. He brings money and give it to your mother, okay, saying that suppose X percentage of that money is for house rent allowances, Y percentage of money is for fooding, and Z percentage is for clothing and medicine. Fine. Then in that X percentage or Y percentage or Z percentage, your mother has to again subdivide it into, suppose if it is for fooding, then how much for cereals, how much for grains, how much for vegetables, okay. Then if it is for clothing, then how much for elders, how much for youngers, and how much should be savings there, how much should be the some exchanges. Okay, so here the money earned by your father comes under macroeconomics, and again its subdivision into different classes. Again some small places is that comes under microeconomics. So that is the best example and difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics, but we will see its difference once again in the next slide. Okay, that is based on NCERT and also based on the MBA books. Okay, fine. So, what are the differences between microeconomics and macroeconomics? See, microeconomics examines small economic units, the components of economy, for example, individuals, households, firms, industries, etc. But macroeconomics looks at aggregates. For example, national output, overall price level, aggregate unemployment, etc. Okay, so there are some differences which we will go one by one. Okay, what is macro and microeconomics concerned with? Okay, microeconomics concerned with particular households, firms and industry. That means at very small and individual level or in a particular level. But macroeconomics concerned with national income, general price levels, national output, unemployment and poverty. Okay, what are the objectives of differentiation between micro and macro? Fine. Objective of microeconomics on demand side is to maximize utility, whereas on the supply side is to minimize profits at maximum cost. That is the objective of microeconomics. And objective of macroeconomics: full employment, price stability, economic growth and favorable balance of payments. About these terms again we will study the definition and examples. Basis. Okay, for microeconomics, price mechanism which operates with the help of demand and supply. Just a moment, let me pick the pen. Okay, and in macroeconomics, national income, output and employment which are determined by aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Fine. Once again, fine. Assumptions. Microeconomics, the rational behavior of individuals. Okay, that means in microeconomics each and every individual is being rationalized, or they are being subdivided in their production, consumption and transit. When it comes to macroeconomics, aggregate volume of output of an economy, the extent to which its resources are employed. Okay, that means at overall level. Then what are the limitations of micro and macroeconomics? Limitations of microeconomics: existence of full employment, and in macroeconomics, involvement of fallacy of consumption which does not prove true. Okay, so these are some differences between microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, so as we have seen, there are two branches of economics. Those are microeconomics and macroeconomics. Okay, so these are the terms which each of them are related to. Like in microeconomics, it will be of neoclassical, development economics, environmental, behavioral, econometrics and labor economics, whereas in macroeconomics it will be related to classical or free market, then Keynesian or government's intervention, then Marxist, Austrian, mercantilism and monetarists or free market control money. We know very well that we are living in an era of globalization. Okay, in this globalization, the economy has become very complex, or the market become very complex. So how to control the market? How governments decision try to change the market overall, and how individual at any corner of this world changes the market economics. We'll deal with micro and macro, but in first lesson we will study mostly about macroeconomics. Okay, so these are the terms you have to keep in mind. You can uh, take the screenshot of this screen. Now coming to the topics from our textbook, once again what are the things given there, let me see one by one. All right, fine. However, micro means small and macro meaning large. Okay. However, macroeconomics in its modern form began with John Maynard Keynes, and in his book The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, published in year 1936. Keynes offered an explanation for fallout from the Great Depression when goods remained unsold and workers unemployed. Hence, Keynes is regarded as the father of modern microeconomics. Okay, in class 10th you might have studied about Great Depression of Europe. Okay, it has come after First World War. Okay, at that time, even though there were production, because people have empty pockets, they were unable to buy the things or purchase the things from the market, and also the uh, prices of the things became so high that they are not able to buy anything. Okay, then how the term that goods produced and unemployment are related to each other is coined by this great scientist or the great philosopher or economist Maynard Keynes. Okay, that is why he is also known as father of modern macroeconomics. Okay, he has given the overall view of how market is related to individual and how production is related to employment and unemployment, and also how the pocket expenses or the belief of a person to go and purchase the things from market is related to the psychology of their family and of them individually. Okay, that is why he is also called as father of modern macroeconomics, and you will be amazed to know that okay, he was the first person who has correlated the term individual to the term industrialization. Fine. All right, so coming to section 1.2, that is meaning of macroeconomics. Okay, so in this chapter, as I have said you earlier, that most of the terms related here will be of macroeconomics. The word macro is derived from the Greek word macros, meaning large. Okay, hence macroeconomic is the study of the economy as a whole. That means the overall study of the economy. Okay, that means on a brief view. In other words, macroeconomics deals with aggregates such as national income, unemployment and output. Okay, it doesn't deal with the individual. Okay, that means if suppose in any company what is the total production of that company, that doesn't mean that what is the unit production or the line production inside that company. It may happen that in a company there may be suppose 5 lines. Okay, and all the lines are producing same thing, manufacturing same thing. Okay, but it may be it may happen that different lines produces different number of things based on manpower. Okay, but in case of macroeconomics it deals with the total output including all the lines, but when it comes to microeconomics it deals with the individual production from a individual line. Fine, so that is the example between macro and micro. Fine, so macroeconomics is also known as income theory. Now, what is the real thing about macroeconomics? How is it related to different terms around us? The subject matters covered in macroeconomics are the areas such as employment, national income, inflation, business cycle, poverty, inequality, disparity, investment and saving, capital formation, infrastructure development, international trade, balance of trade and balance of payments, exchange rate and economic growth. Okay, so what are these terms defined, how they are defined, and what are its example? Let us see in our slide one by one. Okay, if you will be able to distinguish and define the terms very well, it will become very easy for you further in the chapter to understand the topics and correlate these terms from economics to accounts and other branches of this science. All right, so let us see the definition of employment. Employment is a relationship between two parties, usually based on contract, where work is paid for, where one party, which may be a corporation, for profit, not for profit organization, cooperative or other entity, is the employer and the other is the employee. Just taking an example of myself, if suppose I'm working at a school, okay, then the school is my employer and I am the employee. Okay, there is a contract between me and my school, that is work culture relationship. Employees work in return for payment, which may be in form of an hourly wage, by piecework or an annual salary, depending on the type of work an employee does or which sector they are working in. Okay, that means in some sectors or in some companies the employees are being paid on hourly basis. That means if suppose it says, or you can say that daily wage workers, okay, they are being paid on hourly basis. Okay, if suppose an hour is of 1000 rupees, then 8 hours working means the employee will get 8000 rupees at the end of the day. Then there happens by piecework. Okay, that means I will be given a project and the company will say me, or the organization will say me, that for this project I will give you this much amount of money. In that situation, whatever time is needed to complete that project, I will be given that amount of money as being contracted earlier. Okay, here time is not a main factor. The completion of project is the main factor, and sometimes we get annual salary. Okay, the company sometimes they pay C2C at 12 lakh rupees per annum. That is called as annual salary. Okay, employees in some fields or sectors may receive gratuities. Okay, that means at the time of retirement they get some extra money other than their salaries. Okay, then bonus payments or stock options. Okay, bonus payments, mostly the government sector gives bonus at the time of Deepavali. That means around September, October every year. Okay, and in some private big organizations they give the bonus at the end of the year. Okay, in some types of employment, employees may receive benefits in addition to payment. Okay, that means other than their salary they get something extra, like health insurance, housing, disability insurance, or use of a gym. Employment is typically governed by employment laws, organization, or legal contracts. Okay, that means the contract is the binding factor between the employer and the employee. Okay, the employee cannot cross that legal factor, and also the employer cannot give something other than the contract. Okay, so this is the complete definition of employment. I hope you have understood it very well. Okay, coming to our next slide. All right, so coming to national income. National income is the total value of a country's final output of all new goods and services produced in 1 year. Here 1 year means one financial year. Okay, currently the financial year of our country ends in the month of March, and from April a new financial year starts. Okay, government is trying to change it from January to December. It will take some time, but it will happen very soon. Fine. So total gross output of all the companies, all the entities, all the organizations around the country comes under national income. Okay, then who gives the data of national income? Okay, that if suppose you see somewhere that the gross national income of India in year 2020 is something like this. Okay, then who is the custodian of this data? Who gives all these data? The National Statistical Office (NSO), Ministry of Statistics, has released the provisional estimates of national income for financial year 2019-20 and quarterly estimates of gross domestic product for the fourth quarter of 2019-20, both at constant and current prices. Okay, as you can see in this graph how the fluctuations goes on year by year and also on quarterly basis. So as I have said you earlier, the NSO is the prime custodian to release the national income of our country. It comes under Ministry of Statistics and it releases its estimates data every year in the end of March or the first month of April every year. Okay, so these data you have to keep in mind that how much was the GNP, GDP, NNP of the year of that country, okay, of last 5 years, because these data are being asked in CA exams or company secretaryship exam, or it may also be asked in other exams that data will be given by pie graph or general graph, and they will ask questions related to that statistically, that what is the difference between the GDP of year 2020 and year 2018, okay, and if they will give you 5 years data, then they may also ask that what is the difference between maximum and minimum GDP or GNP, and a lot of things will be there. So you have to keep in mind that how to interpret the data based on these graphs. Alright, so coming to the definition of inflation, what really does it mean? A more exact definition of inflation is a sustained increases in the general price level in an economy. Okay, that means year on year, what is the price increase on any FMCG things or anything which you use in your day-to-day life. Inflation means an increase in the cost of living as the price of goods and services increases or rises. Okay, that means if suppose you are living somewhere in a rented house, then if your room owner or the landlord has increased the rent, okay, then how much it has increased comes under inflation. Okay, then from last year to this year, what is the increase or how much is the increase in the prices of FMCG comes under inflation. Okay, sometimes it goes positive, that means if the prices will increase continuously, it comes under positive inflation. It may also happen that last year the price was high, but this year the prices were low or prices are low. In that situation, it comes under negative inflation. There are four main types of inflation categorized by their speed. Okay, that means how fastly the prices are changing. They are creeping. Creeping means the prices are changing but very small rate. Okay, that means if the income has increased, in same way the prices have increased. Okay, or income has increased much but the prices have increased in not that much ratio. So that type of inflation is called as creeping inflation. Okay, then walking, galloping and hyperinflation, that means suddenly the prices are increased very high so that the goods and services become out of the reach of common people. It is called as hyperinflation. There are specific types of asset inflation and also wage inflation. Okay, some experts say demand pull and cost push inflation are two more types, but they are not the type, they are actually the causes of inflation. That means why inflation has happened. Sometimes happens that the production is not much but the demand has increased, or the demand has increased more than that of the production. In that situation, the cost of the goods and services will increase. Or sometimes cost push inflation, that means the raw material cost has increased and because of that the production rate has increased and thus the goods and services cost increased. So that is called as cost push inflation. Okay, so I hope you have understood very well what is exact meaning of inflation. Okay, at any time of the slide you can take the screenshot and note it down for your better memory. A better way to understand here is this one. As you can see, the cost of coffee per cup okay, is increasing year by year. The amount of the coffee is same, but its uh, cost is increasing. So this is called as inflation. As you can say in the next chapter that for services given to any person, the cost is increasing year by year. Giving you an example of mobile recharges. Okay, suppose you want to recharge a mobile with 1 GB data pack. Okay, earlier it was around 20 rupees per GB. Now it became 21 rupees. In future it will become 22 rupees. So there is an increase of 1 rupee per GB data. So that is called as inflation. That means for giving same services you are paying more than previously. So this comes under inflation. Okay, here in the product section you can see that for same amount of coffee you are paying more than the earlier. So this comes under FMCG inflation. Coming to the definition of business cycle, what does it mean? I hope in class 11th you have studied it very well from your textbook. Okay, here something different which is related to your textbook of 12th is given by me. Fine. The term business cycle, or it is also called as economic cycle or boom boost cycle, refers to economy wide fluctuations in production, trade and general economic activity. Okay, from a conceptual perspective, the business cycle is the upward and downward movement of levels of GDP and refers to the period of expansion and contraction in the level of economic activities or business fluctuations, also called, around a long term growth trend. Okay, that means suppose there happens a business, then how it is related to other things. Okay, in one business a lot of entities are correlated. Sometimes one business is related to some other businesses also. Okay, then how one is affected is related to the affection of the other. Okay, or how the concept of one market changes the concept of other market in a cyclic factor comes under business cycle, and it is calculated based on financial year. Poverty. Okay, what is the actual definition of poverty? Poverty is about not having enough money to meet basic needs including food, clothing and shelter. Poverty has many faces, changing from place to place and across time, and has been described in many ways. Most often poverty is situation people want to escape. Okay, so we know very well that as the place changes, the income changes, and based on the income, okay, the poverty changes. Okay, it may be possible that a poor person from America is rich in India, or a rich person in India may be poor in Australia. Okay, so the definition of the poverty changes from place to place and also across time to time. Okay, but the actual thing is that the person has not enough money to fulfill the basic needs. It comes under poverty. Okay, it is a thing which every person wants to overcome. Okay, everybody wants to escape from it. All right, so the next topic is economic inequalities. Inequalities means how two or more than two people are not even in same way or not equal in some way. Okay, when it comes to economic inequalities, okay, it is most obviously shown by people's different positions within the economic distribution, that is income, pay and wealth. Different person, depending upon their mind setup and skills, depending upon their educational background, okay, depending upon their place, okay, their income will be different. It shows economic inequalities. Sometimes it happens that for same type and same amount of work, the income or the money being paid, okay, is different at different places, or sometimes it is different for genders. That means at same place the male and female are doing same work, but males are getting higher than female. That comes under economic inequality. However, people's economic positions are also related to other characteristics, such as whether or not they have a disability, okay, their ethnic background, or whether they are a man or a woman. While the Equality Trust recognizes the importance of these measures, the focus of our work is specifically the gap between well off and less well off in the overall economic distribution. That means how much a person is being paid very well and the other is not being paid that much. This is reflected in the choice of terms and statistics in this section. Okay, that means if you see in this background figure that this person to the left hand side looks that he is getting high payoff, but the person to the right side of the screen, okay, as you can see the cross are turned, the person is not so good and also he is doing some menial job. Okay, so this comes under economic inequality. Okay, next is disparity. Disparity usually refers to a difference that is unfair. Okay, in these three figures you can see what is the difference. In the first one you can see that one person is getting highly paid and his wealth is very high, very much. On the other side, okay, you can see a lot of people are being empty pocket, or also their combined wealth is lesser than the one person to the left side. Economic disparity exists among ethnic groups. There is a disparity between what men and women earn in the same job. Okay, means for doing same job they are getting different wages, comes under disparity. This noun derives from Latin despair, that means unequal. Okay, the opposite of disparity is parity, the condition of being equal or the same. Okay, so as you can see in the second figure, one person is getting very high wealth or one person has very high wealth. On the other side, okay, the three persons combined wealth is not equal even to that person. Okay, so this comes under disparity. Alright, so the next topic is investment. In an economic sense, an investment is the purchase of goods that are not consumed today but used in the future to create wealth. That means you have purchased something today which is not consumable or which you will not consume it, but in future you will sell it or get higher wealth. Or you have purchased anything in 10 rupees today and you sell it after a few days in 15 rupees. So the 10 rupees is called as investment, and then the difference, that 5 rupees, is called as economic gain or profit. In finance, an investment is a monetary asset purchased with the idea that the asset will provide income in future or will later be sold at a higher price for a profit. Just keep in mind as an example that you or your parents have purchased a 2 BHK flat today, okay, at something around 30 lakh rupees, okay, and it is sold after 2 years in 60 lakh rupees. So here 30 lakh rupees is your investment and the difference is called as the profit. Okay, that is again the 30 lakh rupees. Fine. Or suppose whenever any company has to be started, any manufacturing plant has to be started at any place around the country, okay, so that they have to purchase land, so they will give some money to purchase it, okay, then they have to build a complete setup, okay, and after the complete setup they will start manufacturing. Okay, so first they will invest the money in purchase of land, in purchase of instruments, in total setup, in labor, and then after the production starts they will get its returning or the benefits. So that is called as investment. That means applying money today and getting benefit tomorrow without using it comes under investment. Or suppose another example as a stock market, okay, so that is also called as investment. You have purchased some company the stock today at some X rupees, and after few days you see the increase in the stock price is X plus del X, okay, so you sell it, okay, so your investment is X rupee and your profit is del X rupees. So that is the another example of investment. Okay, means you are giving out money from your pocket, okay, in such a way that you are not going to consume the product you have purchased, but in future when you will sell it you will get extra money in the form of profit, comes under investment. All right, so coming to next topic, that is capital formation. Capital formation involves making of more capital goods such as machines, tools, factories, transport equipment, materials, electricity, etc., which are all used for future production of goods. That means you are making goods again to make new goods comes under capital formation. So from these two pictures you are able to understand what really does it mean. Okay, then next is infrastructure development. Infrastructure development is the construction and improvement of foundational services with the goal of sparking economic growth and improvements in quality of life. Okay, a lot of things around you have seen that government is constructing or building new roads, new metros, okay, then new flyovers are being constructed, new housing colonies are being constructed. Okay, so those all things comes under infrastructure development. That means making something now to give the benefit tomorrow or improve the standard of life tomorrow. Infrastructure development can involve any type of infrastructure including transportation, energy, water, digital, social and green infrastructure. Better infrastructure improves efficiency and productivity of a place. Okay, you can see that Western countries have very good infrastructure development. That is why the quality of life there is very high. People are living with very high standard. On the other way, if you see the infrastructure of African countries, it is of mean quality or very less quality. So the standard of living there is very less. Better will be the infrastructure, better will be the quality of life, better will be the standard of life. Okay, that is why in Western countries, American countries, Latin American countries, okay, and Eastern Asian countries, they have very good infrastructure, so they have better life conditions. As you can see in the figure, what are the things related to infrastructure development, like construction management, structural, transportation, civil works, land, traffic planning, materials, field services, and a lot. Okay, so this is what we call as infrastructure development. Okay, building of new hospitals, playgrounds also comes under infrastructure development, because then anyhow it is going to benefit our kids and our health. The next topic is international trade. International trade allows countries to expand their markets for goods and services that otherwise may not have been available domestically. As a result of international trade, the market is more competitive, which results in more competitive pricing, which brings a cheaper product home to the consumer. Okay, taking an example of our country, okay, in our country, the production of petroleum is very less as compared to its demand. That is why we have to buy petroleum products from other countries. Okay, so this is called as international trade. We are purchasing something from other country. So, likewise, we are selling our cotton and tea to European countries and African countries or Arabian countries. So that is also comes under international trade or export. So import and export are something comes under international trade. Okay, because of this international trade, the competition increases between companies to companies, organizations to organization, and because of that the consumer gets very good quality products at very cheaper rate. Alright, so next topic is balance of trade or BOT. Is the difference between the value of countries' imports and exports for a given period and is the largest component of countries' balance of payments. Okay, balance of payments means how much amount of money is being given as a wages all around the country. Okay, in different ventures, in different organizations, or in different ways. Fine. So here trade balance means the difference or equality between amount of import and amount of export as monetary value. Fine. Economists use the balance of trade to measure the relative strength of a country's economy. Okay. Sometimes it happens that one country imports more than exports, or the other country exports more than import. So there happens balance of trade, or a trade deficit, as you have seen earlier. The balance of trade is also referred to as the trade balance or the international trade balance. A country that imports more goods and services than it exports in terms of value has a trade deficit. Conversely, if a country that exports more goods and services than it imports has a trade surplus, the formula for calculating the balance of trade can be simplified as the total value of imports minus total value of exports in monetary value. That means how much amount of things we are selling or exporting, and how much amount of things or goods we are purchasing or importing from other country comes under balance of trade. Okay, taking an example of India and China. From China we purchase more, that means we import more than what we sell to them or what we export to them. That means with China we have trade deficit, but in case of India and African countries we purchase less and sell them more. That means we import less and export more. So with India and African countries relations, we have trade surplus. But if you will see the overall our economy, okay, from last many years we always had trade deficit. In this is year 2020 and I am recording this video in the month of July. Okay, recently the news came that after 18 months India has got trade surplus because we have cut down the imports from China. As you have seen the anti-China sentiments being happening in India around us, okay, that is why we became a trade surplus country. Fine. So as you have seen all the slides, everything is correlated to every other thing. Okay, so if you are reading business news every day, you might have seen that the rate of dollar with respect to our own currency rupees is being fluctuating or changing day by day. In many months, from last many months, okay, it has increasing. Recently it has decreased. Okay, so how is the rate of currency of one country is correlated to the currency of other country? Okay, let us see, and before that let us see about what is the definition. Exchange rate is the price of one currency in terms of another currency. That means if you give 100 units of your currency, how much you can get currency of other country comes under exchange rate. Okay, exchange rates can be either fixed or floating. It is the floor price that must be paid irrespective of the market price. Okay, so in our country, our central bank, that is RBI, has kept our exchange rate as floating rate. That is why every time or in every day, every moment, the change happens in the currency from one country to other country. Current international exchange rate are determined and managed by floating exchange rate. You have to keep in mind, this is very much important for your competitive point of view. Last year in UPSC prelims exam, it has been asked that who determines the exchange rate of any country or any currency, and the answer is it is being determined and managed by floating exchange rate. Okay, a managed floating exchange rate means that each currency's value is affected by economic actions of its government or central bank. Okay, that means whatever decisions government make, whether it is civil decision, international relations decision, or war decisions, everything determines what may be the currency rate of that particular country. Okay, the country which is more stable in civil and in foreign policies will have high exchange rate, while the country which is not so stable, if you see as an example Uganda. Okay, Uganda is being suffering from house war, okay, from last many decades. That is why their exchange rate is very low. As if you see on internet or if you Google it, $1 comes around thousand currency of Uganda. Okay, I am seeing this on the basis of this year January. Okay, it will have changed right now. Okay, or also if you will Google out, the Iran's currency is depreciated so less that its currency will become none of use. Okay, the last topic is economic growth. Okay, what really does it mean? An increase in the amount of goods and services produced per head of the population over a period of time comes under economic growth. Okay, that means if you take our country's example, if suppose our production has increased, okay, with respect to population, okay, it is coming under economic growth. Economic growth is an increase in the production of economic goods or services compared from one period of time to another. That means if in last year or in last quarter, how much was the production and now how much is the production. If it is increasing, that means we are getting positive economic growth. Economic growth is an increase in the production of goods and services in any economy. Here, in an economy means in a country. Increase in capital goods, labor force, technology and human capital can also contribute to economic growth, and economic growth is commonly measured in terms of increase in aggregated market value of additional goods and services produced using estimates such as gross domestic production. Fine. Okay, so these are the things which we have seen in our slides, the definitions of different terms: inflation, business cycle, infrastructure development, and a lot others. Okay, in class 11th you might have gone through these things, but I wanted you to go through it once again, okay, so that you can reimagine and remember all the things which will help you to understand the other topics in this chapter. Because this chapter, this topic, this lesson or this today's tutorial became very huge. Okay, I am ending this video today. If you want me to change something or to add something new in my next video, you can comment in the comment section below. Fine. So I am taking leave today. See you to our next video. Okay, I am requesting you all to please share the link of this video to all your friends so that everybody should get benefit from my knowledge. Okay, fine. Till my next video. Bye bye. Take care of yourself.